Hey guys, I'm Angela and welcome back to Hobby Night. This week in the news, Warhammer Age of Sigmar 3rd edition has been announced and Critical Role Season 2 is coming to an end.
Remember why we fight. Chaos won. The dark gods broke us. Demons and blood-pledged warriors wrought ruin and left only ash and bone in their wake. The mortal realms, so hard won, were lost. In the face of such defeat, the armor of mortals could not hold. Pride, greed, ambition tore apart the alliance the God King had built among the races. It is well then that we are not mortal. Forged in celestial storm, we are the chosen of Sigmar. We are hope manifest, and where we stand, there will be light in the darkness. No matter the cost. Not the end. Our war is eternal. And so, we must remember. Remember why we fight!
Well, Age of Sigmar 3rd edition is definitely on the way, and they have made some major changes. In fact, they gave us 8 major changes that they had a very corny video, honestly, for, but I'm going to go over them with you now and sort of explain what they are. The first one is they have consolidated and simplified the rules so that it's just easier and quicker to play. I'm always happy when that kind of thing happens because it means more new players can get into the game, and especially when you're launching a new edition, you're definitely wanting to capture some new players. So this is going to be good. Number 2, characters have more abilities. They're going to be able to do more. It's going to, honestly, just probably be a lot more fun. I know the hero phase is a phase that people really enjoy in Age of Sigmar, and so they're going to be able to do more in it and everything like that. I'm excited. Number 3, monsters are actually going to be monstrous. They're going to be able to, from what we've seen, have some better options in charge. They'll be able to do more, and hopefully this will honestly inject some energy into the game, because in my experience, Age of Sigmar actually has a ton of giant monstrous creatures, more so than I really feel like I see in not Age of Sigmar, in Warhammer, or 40k rather. So I'm really happy about this. I want monsters to feel monstrous. I'm a little sad that they didn't previously, so I'm hoping this is going to be a good change. Number 4 is that going second is going to get you more command points, which means that it's not going to be an automatic, oh, well, I guess I've lost. Because I know that that can sometimes be a problem in these games, both in 40k and in Age of Sigmar, and it's nice to see that those have changed. Now, number 5 is going to be reactionary abilities, stratagems that you can use on your opponent's turn as a reaction to something that they've done. to basically benefit yourself. This ties really back into what they were saying with the characters and them having more abilities. So I think a lot of stratagems are going to get tied to characters and them being able to do all of this reactionary stuff to basically mean that there's less downtime in the game and you're not just standing around waiting for your opponent to do stuff. Number 6 is living spells are going to be a little bit different. They're actually going to function on both players' turns now, as opposed to what it was before. And I actually think this is great because that means they're going to be doing twice as much damage, which means they're going to feel that much more devastating. Because honestly, when they announced this product, like this line of the endless spells, I was really excited for them, and then they really felt like they didn't do much, and I never saw anybody using them. So I'm really excited to see that maybe people will actually use them now, and I can use the ones that I have painted up. And number 7 is a new way to build your army. They are creating a variety of new default formations that you can build that basically be used with any faction and can be used to build your army. And I actually really think this is interesting because I feel like this is going to allow players to experiment a little bit more, but while still having their armies synergizing and being able to work together, because there's going to be, from what they said or kind of like implied, like blanket rules that will affect these like groupings that'll allow you to do stuff still and make your armies work really well. So I'm hoping this is going to make us see a lot of experimentation, people doing a lot of interesting things with their armies and being able to play around a bit more. And then finally, number 8 is much like Indomitus got with 9th edition, we're getting some narrative play rules in this next edition of Age of Sigmar 3rd. And I am super, super excited because if you go back to 2020 and you watch my Indomitus previews, Crusade was the thing that had me the most interested in the game, in playing 9th edition and everything like that. And honestly, the fact that they've announced it for a narrative play for Age of Sigmar, and we'll get to the minis here in a bit, but they're super rad. All of these things has me a lot more interested in actually playing Age of Sigmar and actually getting into it, which is great because I have a ton of their miniatures already. Hey guys, if you are enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and let me know about it down in the comments. If you haven't already and you're wanting more content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon for notifications. And then if you want even more hobby goodness, make sure to follow me on Instagram or Twitter at hobby_knight. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the video. And with 3rd edition, they announced their equivalent to the Indomitus box, which they have called Dominion. And before we start talking about all of those gorgeous miniatures that are in that box, let's talk about the other stuff that comes in it because that's way less exciting. We are getting a fancy covered 365-page rulebook, which is, I think, the same length as the 9th edition, despite the fact that the host was making a really big deal about how big of a book it is. Sir, you guys have made larger fantasy books that are the core rulebooks. I have one in the other room. I should have grabbed it for this. But we're not just getting that book. We're also getting some war scrolls, because having those is always very, very nice. That will give you the data sheets for basically all of the units in there, so you can immediately start playing with them, even though they have no rule or codex yet. And we're also getting a lore book, which is Amberstone something. I've actually forgotten the name of it, and I didn't write it down in my notes because I'm a terrible news host. But it is a lore book that basically is setting up this new edition and where they're going with it. So that's really cool. I mean, we got one of these in Indomitus. It is literally the Indomitus box, but reskinned for like Age of Sigmar. So, which is really cool. I'm actually really excited about it. So let's start talking about the models that we're going to be getting in these. And some of them we've actually seen already. They previewed a number of the models in the Warhammer Fest final day. That was kind of lackluster, but that's okay. We've got really cool stuff now. So the things that we've seen already, we have definitely seen the Celestial Spear. We have seen the Praetors. We've seen the Annihilators, which are my favorites, by the way. I think we've also seen the Vindictors. I always want to say Vindicators, but that's not correct. I think it's
I can't even say it myself.
Exactly, it's a really hard word.
Vindictor.
Vindictor. Yes, that is it. Okay. I struggled with this the last time that they said it. I struggled with it this time. I think the freaking host on the like show struggled with it.
I want to call them a Vindicare.
They are a Vindicare. That's what they are now to me.
Assassin?
Yes. I mean, kind of. They could be, I suppose. But regardless of my struggle with their name, these Stormcast Eternal models are all very cool, but we've seen them already, so we don't care. What we are going to talk about are some of the newer things that I don't think we've seen before, and that is the Lord-Imperatant with Gryph-hounds, which was really cool. I actually really like the Gryph-hound models for the Stormcast Eternals. They're probably one of my favorite parts, like prior to some of the stuff that we're getting in here. So I'm really excited to see them included in the box because I always like getting them. Now, the Knight-Arcanum. She had a spectacular mask. And if more of the Stormcast Eternals could all have that cool, mouthless, like Harlequin-esque mask that she has, I would be so much more interested in starting this army. I'm not kidding. Between the new chonkier Primarist Marines that they have for their infantry that we've already seen, as well as like some of these mask designs and stuff that we're seeing on her, as well as the Knight-Vexillor, which is the other guy who has a really cool mask. No, sorry, he's the banner guy. He does not have a cool mask. I think it was the first guy that I said, the Gryph-hound guy. He also has a really cool mask. So there's some really cool stuff happening. When it comes to the Vexillor that I just mentioned, he has an absolutely excellent banner, and I do love me some like fabric cast in plastic. I don't know what it is about it, but there's just something that really intrigues me about it. I think it's because it reminds me of like classical sculpture when you would have like really beautifully draped fabric that actually looked like fabric, even though it's made of freaking marble. And to a certain extent, the plastics do that for me a little bit, especially with some of these modern sculpts that GW is coming out with, because they are just really, really nice and very, very detailed. We'll talk more about some of those details for some of the other models in this kit. So that is what we're getting for the Stormcast Eternal. Let me check my notes and make sure. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. We're also getting the Knight Judicator, sorry, which is going to also be in this Dominion box. And he has a great bow and it looks amazing. I'm actually very, very excited about it. And we're also getting, the Judicator, I am wrong. I misread my notes. The Judicator is not in the box. He is one of the additional models that we're getting that will not be coming out, I think, at the same time. They didn't actually say when these other models would be coming out. They just surprised us with additional miniatures on this stream, which I think was a really good call on their point because the last couple of streams haven't been super great, and I think this is them trying to make up for it. Plus, they were really high on the energy of just chat being very excited for this release, so it was really good. But let's get back to the Stormcast Eternals and these gorgeous models. So the Knight Judicator is a giant guy with a big old bow, and it looks amazing. The bow is called a Terminus Great Bow, which is really, really cool. I want to know if there's a way that I can like convert that to be something for my Terminators, because theming would be cool, and I think that would be really neat for Dark Angels or something like that, since they're like the medieval sort of themed stuff. I think it'd be really awesome. So we got them, and then we got a look at the freaking chariot, which was so cool. Also, it looks massive, which is very exciting. I loved this model. I thought this was probably one of my favorite models of all of the Stormcast Eternal ones, just because it's giant, it looks like it's gonna be fun to paint, it's got a lot of different stuff going on in it, because you've got the creatures as well as the Stormcast Eternal guys. You're gonna be able to play a bunch with like both metals as well as organics, so it's just gonna be a really cool model to paint, and I'm probably gonna be picking one up because it just looked super rad. The one last thing that I want to say about the Stormcast Eternal that they did mention that I thought was kind of a nice benefit, although they should be just doing this all of the time, so I don't think they should make a huge deal out of it, but it's still pretty cool. There's going to be a variety of heads for a lot of those models that are just the your troop choices and everything like that, and they're both going to come with basically every model in the kit that is a troop choice, or basically the Annihilators or some of the other like basic guys are going to come with 2 heads each, one uncovered, showing a face of a variety of different like sculpts and everything, kind of like what it seems like they're doing with all of the Imperial Guard now, to basically represent different cultures and races and all that kind of stuff, as well as helmeted heads. And I don't know, because I don't remember them saying if the helmeted heads would be different from one another. I hope that they are, because the generic Stormcast Eternal head, I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but I really like some of the other iterations that they've been doing for some of these newer models, so I'm hoping that gets mixed in as a variety so that there's a little bit more way for like people to actually diversify their miniatures beyond just paint schemes. Now, we've rambled a whole bunch about the Stormcast Eternal and the box itself and everything. Let's go ahead and talk about who they're fighting.
Entry number 41. I've had a breakthrough. The beasts made it past the guard, and many were taken. A tragedy, but a fortunate one. A knife left behind. Thinner this time, not at all like the ones in the books. Designed to pierce armor, perhaps, but of what? Not the usual Orruck approach either. Barely even shouted. Diversions, far more cunning than before. Something is brewing in the swamps, I'm sure of it. Alas, if my theories are correct, then we are in more trouble than we know.
Because we've got some brand new orcs, and I'm so excited, you guys, these look amazing. Okay. Let's go through them one by one. The Killaboss on the Gnash Tooth. I love him. I love him. I don't even know, like the Nagtooth alone is stunning. I love it. It's an amazing creature. I think it's freaking precious looking. I just want to give it a hug. And also that model looks amazing. It's gonna be stunning. Then there's another Killaboss, but he doesn't come on a Snagtooth. But this one comes with the cutest freaking like miniature that I think I've seen in a long time. I don't know, it's gonna be a tough toss-up between one other model in this kit and the crab from earlier, because we've got a Stabgrot, and it's just so cute. And I really, really want to paint these two models up, like 10 and -1, and if you get that reference, you earn a gold star in my book, and just know that you're awesome. Because gosh darn, that model looks so cool. Both of those models look cool. That is your leader for what we've got right now. Then, we've also got the Swampkalla Shaman. Now this is what we had seen a preview of just a few days ago, specifically not the shaman himself, or herself, I actually don't know, but the grot that goes with it, the Potgrot.
Potgrot!
Potgrot! Oh my god. Okay, it's super cute. It's in a pot. That's where the little hanging hand thing came from. I really like sort of the swamp witch theming aesthetic. Just as like bog witches, I think are really, really cool. And this army screams that to me. And so this model, like the shaman, is probably one of my favorites of all of these models, despite the fact that like I love all of them. They're all really good. Okay, so we talked about our grots, our Potgrot, our Stabgrot, both excellent. We talked about our leaders. Now, the Merknob. This is another amazing model. It has a super rad banner in the complete opposite direction to the Stormcast Eternal one, which I really like that juxtaposition of these two armies, by the way. The feral, sharp metal, almost Lord of the Rings-esque looking goblin, like tall goblins. Like, A lot of these models to me kind of look like they took a Pathfinder goblin and then stretched it and maybe bulked it a little bit. And I really dig that. I'm totally in favor of this new direction that they're going for. The orcs, they're standing up a little bit straighter. They almost also kind of go into like an evil Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles modern like cartoon look. If you look at their faces a little bit, because they've kind of got a like almost a turtley face. And this, the Merc Knob model in particular really sort of put that into my head, because there's just something about his face that sort of looks like the new cartoons for TMNT. Now, we've also got Gut Rippers, which are a really cool model that I actually really like the shield design on. Like there's a really cool little thing that happens with it where the shields actually match the faces or the models themselves, which is really cool. The one that they pointed out in particular was in the picture that they showed of them, there's a guy with an eye patch and his shield also has an eye patch, which by the way, the shields, I love all of them. I think they are amazing. I love the bright red coloring on them. Like the paint job on these models is stunning and it really sold me on them. I can't wait to actually see what they look like unpainted so that I can then put my like splash of color on it, because I have some ideas already of what I'm wanting to do with it. So we've got the Gut Rippers. They're cool. They have the cool shields and everything. There was, I forgot to write their name down, but there's the guys with the guns. Something Zappa, I think, or like that, but I don't remember specifically. They were also really rad. I really liked their helmets. Those models in particular are where I really got the Lord of the Ring orc vibe from, because in particular their helmets along with those weapons just really, because it's a crossbow style design, really just screamed Lord of the Rings to me. And then one of the like coolest things in there that really screamed Chaos Dwarf to me, which I thought was rad, were the Hobgrots. These things were hideous and I absolutely love them for it, because they're just so good. I love the armor design. I love their really like just kind of gross faces. And it just, oh God, this set is gonna be so cool. I'm really hoping I can get my hands on one. I've already spoken to my friendly local game store to be like, hey, can you please special order me one of these, because I really need this, because I really want to paint these armies. Both of them, actually. I'm actually really excited for both armies. Now, that is what we're getting in the Dominion box for the new orcs. We're also getting 2 additional models, much like how they showed for the Stormcast Eternal. And 2 of them are, I actually think they're both pretty cool, but I actually think the stuff in the core box is more interesting to me. But we've got the Beast Skewer Kill Bow, which is another just like gigantic bow thing, which looks really rad. This is the thing that screams like the most old world to me, and I feel like you could easily convert this for like a Skaven faction, because it really feels like in that sort of like cobbled together, held together by like who knows what sort of vibe that sometimes Skaven technology has, and it just really screamed that to me. And then we got the Break-a-Boss on the Brute, the Mire Brute Trogoth, I believe it was, or Troll, or whatever they were called, because I can't remember now off the top of my head, and I think my notes auto-corrected the name. So this guy was actually really rad. I really like the paint scheme on this. The model itself, honestly, it's cool, but like not the most dynamic in my opinion. I am going to be interested, because I know sometimes GW for their troll models will give like alternate arms or like things that they can be carrying or holding. And I'm curious if this particular kit will come with that, because it is separate from Dominion, like I said. So it's going to be in its own box and everything. So there could be options in it. And I hope that there are, because I'm not super thrilled with like the just generic arms out pose. It still works really cool. The orc on top is really rad. And the just sheer freaking like detail on all of these models, just as a painter, really excites me. Like I am just really looking forward to getting my hands on these, painting them up, and then being able to just have them out on a table and being like, wow, look how freaking cool those are. Oh God, it's gonna be so good. Let me know which faction you're most interested in. I have a feeling there's going to be an overwhelming majority of people who are like, wow, those new orcs look super rad. I totally want them. But if you're a Stormcast Eternal fan, let me know and tell me how excited you are for those models as well. And last but not least, in some additional hobby YouTube role-playing game related news, Critical Role, the beloved role-playing game like show, Season 2 is coming to an end soon. This was announced recently, I think via Mercer himself, but also through Critical Role's like social media accounts and everything. I don't know specifically when it's ending. It could be as soon as the next episode, but I can't find any actual information on when it's fully wrapping up. So I think it's fairly fluid. It seems like Mercer's like keeping it kind of up in the air, but it is ending soon, which is both very sad, but on the other hand, also really exciting, because if you're anything like me, who did not get into Critical Role when it first like got big, and don't really know, like don't know where to start, or like just want to get into a new series and everything, this is a perfect opportunity because they're gonna do a season 3. I think it's gonna have new characters and such, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to like keep up with it and actually follow along this time so I can be in on the excitement and energy that just is that community, because they are really cool. I see a lot of them at my friendly local game store, and they just, I love them. They're so cool. So I'm really looking forward to this new season coming up. If you're a critter yourself or a fan of the show, let me know and tell me all your feels about how Season 2 is coming to a close and whether or not you're excited for Season 3. All right, that has been this week for Warhammer news. Before I go, I want to go ahead and give you guys a heads up that I recently launched the Hobby Knight Patreon, where you can be a Nurgling, a Poxwalker, or a Hobby Knight and support the channel, help us grow. And one of the cool things that I'm doing through it for the Hobby Knight tier specifically is we're going to be doing a voting system that will allow you guys to have a say on stuff that gets painted on the channel, as well as like a new series that's coming. So be looking forward to that. If you guys want to support us, feel free to check the link that I've put in the description below. In the meantime, I have been Angela. Thank you guys so much for watching the channel. I will see you tomorrow for a brand new painting tutorial, and I'll see you again next week for some news as well as some more hobby content. I've been Angela. I think I've said that like 3 times now. Sorry about that. See you guys later.